Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Wild Wisdom Wellbeing guest slot, where today we have Nick Morrish of Nick Morrish Photography. And you might be wondering what on earth photography has to do with well-being, but we will be exploring that in our chat today. So, Nick, welcome. It's great to have you here. And the reason really that I invited you was because I saw you on See No Bounds in their Global Leaders for Wellbeing week when they were featuring lots of different people who work around wellbeing. And I suddenly thought, oh, wow, photography really can link in with well-being. Good morning, Tammy. Lovely to have you here. Yeah, it really can link in with well-being. And also because I'm so passionate about people stepping into the fullness of who they really are. And I think that photography can really be a part of that. But if we could just start with you maybe telling us a little bit more about yourself and about how you got into photography and the business that you run.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah. Hello, Robin. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me along. Well-being and photography is something that is very close to my heart for a lot of reasons. So I'm looking forward to getting into that. But yeah, the start. When I was about 4 or 5, my parents gave me a little Kodak camera. It was one of the long rectangular ones, and I would go out and photograph, all sorts. We lived in quite a rural place actually, and on the outskirts of Cardiff. So there was, this friendly sheep that I photographed. I photographed my mum doing things and various things, and it all came because my dad was a really keen amateur photographer, and he didn't want to push me into it, but I think it sort of came naturally. So that was where it started. And then when I was a teenager, I borrowed his old camera and a couple of manuals and started sort of really learning the art of it. But it was only actually when I was 20 that I really sort of got serious about it and thought of it as a career, when I spent a year abroad in America, a university, as part of my degree, because I wanted to be a pilot. But my career advisor told me that I wasn't made of the right stuff, so I had to find something else. So, not knowing what to do, I did a generic course in American Studies just to go to America for a year. And while I was there, the university had a wonderful newspaper that was a 22,000 circulation daily broadsheet, and I got a job there. I didn't have a portfolio. It was only because I was from the UK, and I fell in love with photography, and that was it. That was sort of what started me into my career. So I came back. I did a journalism course and worked on the South Wales Argus for a few years. So I used to roam around Gwent, seeing all the wonderful people of Gwent, and then I ended up in London, and I worked for British Airways as their in-house photographer for 10 years before.
So it got you back to the air side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, I was really, it was funny how it came full circle. So my mum was cabin crew at BA, and had to stop when I was born, which she never lets me forget. And yeah, and suddenly I was in amongst the people that I sort of wanted to work with. Actually, I mean, it was wonderful. The flight crew community are just brilliant. I mean, if you ask them a question, they'll answer it in spades. And I was lucky enough to fly some of the simulators that they trained on. So I had my moment where I was a commercial pilot, on a 747. But I couldn't do it for a living. I've got so much respect for those guys. But it was brilliant. So yeah, so that's, and I left that at the beginning of the year because I wanted to, have a bit of a challenge and work for myself really, and address the work-life balance, because I think anybody who's been in a corporate environment knows that it can be pretty full on. And I always liken it to that scene in Star Wars where they're down in the rubbish contractor and the walls are coming in and stuff, So yeah, and it's been the best thing I've ever done. So my work-life balance is better, and it's better for the family, and my wife's work-life balance is better. So yeah, everything's good at the moment, and the sun is shining. So today especially.
It was a challenging time, though, if it was just the beginning of the year when you decided to take that leap, and then a couple of months later we were in lockdown.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, funny enough, I I got my winter coat out for the first time since March, and there was a receipt in there, and my wife and I were chatting about what I bought, and then we got chatting about the whole thing. And I think with this year is, I mean, I made the decision to take this path in. It was probably something I was thinking about in January of 2019, but it was, the decision was actually made in October 2019. And it is absolutely bonkers to think that even at that point, none of this was on anybody's radar. It hadn't started. And, and of course, once you're committed, there's no going back. I couldn't sort of go back on my decision. And actually, it's been the best thing I've ever done, because, the only way's up. I can now tick off being an entrepreneur during a global pandemic, so I don't need to worry about that anymore. And we've got through it, and I've learned, quite a lot, and I've met wonderful people, and I think that the 2020 has thrown up so many opportunities. If you've got the right sort of eyes to see them, that actually, yeah, it is tough. I'm not going to be flippant about it, but we're getting through it and we're surviving, and I think that's the most important thing. For people to remember, I guess, so
that as human beings, we are flexible. That's how we have managed to do all the things that we have managed to do, and survived all the things we have survived. So it's trusting in that, and trusting that. I love the fact that the Chinese for crisis, Chinese for crisis, is actually made up of two symbols. One is danger and the other is opportunity. Within everything that we see as dangerous or a crisis, there is an opportunity. And it's like you say, just having the mindset, having the eyes, looking through those lenses that see those things. So yeah, that's a brilliant example of that. And great that you have found that it was the right choice, and it has brought all of those benefits. The work-life balance, a huge one for our well-being. So I love the fact that on your Facebook page you say that when you are working with somebody, it's a friendship. And I think that is so brilliant. I've had a couple of professional photo shoots myself, and I don't like the camera. I don't like being behind one particularly. I certainly don't like being in front of one. So that idea of the photographer who comes in and treats you as a human being and wants to draw out, all of the best parts of you, wants to make you relax, all of that stuff. So can you tell us a little bit more about your perspective on that?
Yeah, of course. So going back to the pilot analogy, this is where I got thinking about it for the first time. Was I was photographing a Flying with Confidence course that some of the pilots at BA did, and a lot of it is psychology, and I find psychology interesting. I'm not a psychologist by any stretch of the imagination, but I find it really fascinating. And one of the things that the pilot said was that when you're nervous on a plane, just keep remembering that the pilot, or the pilots at the front, they're humans, and they have family, and they have friends, and they have things they want to do. And no matter how bad things are in the air, you've got two people who've got a vested interest in getting you safely to wherever you're going. And when he said it, I thought about that, and I thought, God, that's so true in a lot of things that we do. And I mean, I'm certainly like this. Whenever I'm at the airport, I like to get to the gate early so I can see the pilot, so I can put a face to the person who I'm entrusting with my safety and my well-being. And it's the same with dentists. It's the same with doctors. We like to know who these people are who we're bringing into our lives, and especially in areas of really deep sort of trust. And for me, photography is absolutely no different. I mean, obviously the risks are slightly less. There's not unless we're doing something. Unless we're doing something crazy, we are going to get out of it in one piece, and and stuff. But as you said, Robin, having a picture taken is a very uncomfortable experience for a lot of people, and a lot of it, it comes down to psychology and our body language and the way that our minds react to having a camera in front of the face. And that's the biggest thing that I find, is that we're constantly looking at each other's body language to work out, is it fight fight? Should we run away? Should we stay? Is this person a friend? Are they, you know, wanting to do me harm? And the minute that that big, you know, black sort of weird object comes up in front, you suddenly can't see the face and you can't work it out. So the friendship thing is something that I really, really strongly believe in, because, you know, for you to trust me, I need to be a friend, and not a sort of, you know, just a passing friend of somebody who you know, might say hello to, you know, in a cafe as you're waiting for a cup of coffee and then you never see them again, because we don't trust people like that. You wouldn't, you know, if somebody came up to you in a coffee bar like that and said, oh, if you give me £100, I'll make you a millionaire. Well, you're not going to do it. But if somebody who you know and trust comes up to you and says it, you may think about it. So the photography is the same. And a lot of the best photographers that you'll find are talkers. And there's quite a famous quote by a photographer, and I can't remember his name, but he said, a portrait is made both sides of the camera. And the camera is just an instrument for capturing a likeness, you know, in whatever form we need. But actually, what you're photographing is the relationship between the two people. And if somebody's relaxed and they're trusting that you know what you're doing, then the pictures just take a whole new level. And you'll see it. And it's I mean, I'm sort of used to it, sort of, especially on like things like LinkedIn, and you look at people's profile pictures and you can see the ones where people aren't comfortable, they may be forced, and then you can see the ones where people are totally relaxed and they're letting their personality come out. So that's why building a friendship, you know, at the shoot is great. And also, and I think this sort of touches on part of the reason why having a photograph taken is actually wonderful for your well-being, is in the photo shoot, you know, you're the star. I mean, it's not about me, you know. I mean, there are photographers who are famous household names, like, you know, David Bailey and, you know, things like that, but I'm not David Bailey. I'm here to make you look absolutely wonderful and feel your best and make you happy. And every shoot that I do, if somebody's a bit glum at the end of it, I feel awful, because I don't want, you know, I don't want that. Regardless of how good the pictures are, I want people to leave it and just go, God, you know, that was a good fun hour, or 15 minutes or whatever it was. And, you know, I haven't laughed like that for a while. And it's because that's what, you know, makes me sort of happy. There's so much stress in the world that if I can sort of distract people for an hour, then, you know, it's quite good. Maybe I missed my vocation as a stand-up comedian. I don't know. Maybe that's what I should have done.
I don't know. I think you can combine the two, can't you? And I know that the two shoots that I've had there some time ago now, but I left that period of time. It was only a short period of time, but I left it buzzing and so excited. And I felt as well that, you know, when you're seen by somebody who draws that out in you, it draws out your happy side and your trusting side and puts you at your ease, and that's kind of reflected back to you as well, obviously when you see the photographs, but even before that, it does something for you as well. It gives you a real boost, and it helps you to think, actually, yeah, maybe I am that kind of a person, and maybe I'm worth taking care of and looking after and all of these things, because somebody else has seen that in me. Sometimes we need that recognition, that affirmation from another, and who better than somebody who does that for a living, and you think they must be trustworthy if they can see this in me, and if they can draw it out in me, and then I can see it in the photographs. That I think it's such a reconfirmation, affirmation of what's in there already, but maybe we're not aware of it ourselves.
Absolutely. I think there are two portraits that I've taken that spring to mind when you mentioned this. The first one was of a good friend of mine, and I took the picture about 7 years ago. I think it must have been 7. And this is a guy, and and he's quite a good-looking bloke, you know, tall, sort of. He's a little bit older than me, so he's a bit grayer than I am, but it's sort of that quite, you know, sort of silver, sort of charming, you know, and distinguished. That's the word. And he always hated having his picture taken. And we shot this very simple portrait, And, you know, I got chatting about what his happy place was. And actually, it's, you know, he's a keen motorcyclist. So it's motorbikes, you know, and it's classic motorbikes and things. And he just relaxed just into the thing. And he sort of looked off into the distance. And we got this picture. And 7 years later, he refuses to let me take another picture because he doesn't believe that it will get better. In his mind, that's how he looks. And it's not just the way he looks in terms of his physical features, it's the personality that he's portraying, and it's the confidence and the knowledge. On the flip side of it, there's another portrait that I took of somebody, and they unfortunately, you know, have sort of struggled a little bit with mental health. But they look back at that picture as who they wanted to be, because yeah, exactly as you said, my job is to bring out those really deep personality traits that you maybe don't believe you have, but everybody has them. And they look back on that picture and they say, you know, they say to me, yeah, that's, you know, if I was feeling down, I'd look at that picture, and that's how I'd want to, you know, that's my sort of star on the horizon that I want to get back to. And I think that the key is that we as photographers are actually quite objective. So we're not biased in seeing who you are, because, you know, we don't want to show you in a way that's not you, because it really stands out in the photos. We want to show who the real you is. And actually, I think everybody is quite confident and everything. Once you, like you say, you strip away the layers and actually you get to that bit and that little gold mine, and then the pictures just come alive, and it's wonderful. And we have certain ways of doing it that you know, range from the very, very subtle to a bit more sort of sledgehammer and a bit more, you know, forward. But you know, we treat everybody, you know, we treat each situation, you know, uniquely, because everybody's unique, and there's no point in sort of, you know, being a drill sergeant to one person if that's not what they want to hear, you know. But then there are other people who, you know, and they tend to be sort of more senior people in, you know, corporations, who you do have to be like, right, no, you stand there, right, you know, because they're not used to being, you know, sort of bossed around by people. So yeah, it's great. It's great fun. It's great fun to bring it out.
And I think that's maybe an advantage as well, of where you don't know the person as intimately as their best friends. So you aren't caught up in that relationship with them in terms of, I see you this way and that's it. You're coming in with fresh eyes, but also the objective eyes. So you then are putting the person at their ease, which allows them, like you say, that confidence that we have somewhere within us when we are feeling, I'm seen for who I am, and I'm respected and accepted for who I am. So getting them to that point, and yes, obviously that's going to be unique for each individual, but yeah, that you can then capture that it's amazing as well sometimes that something, like you're saying, an inanimate object like a camera can capture so much of somebody's essence, really, can't they? And that you can see just from looking at a picture, and particularly one that has been taken as you're describing, that you can see that person looking off into the distance and thinking of their happy place, and the other person who then has a photograph of, this is who I am, and I, you know, want to get to that vision of myself. So it captures each individual's real character. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, one of the greatest challenges for me, and it's going to sound awfully egotistical, is getting my picture right, because obviously as a photographer, people look at my picture and it has to be of a high level, but I hate having my picture taken. I have two facial expressions. One is a very serious sort of glum look, and the other, I just look like I'd won the lottery, and there's literally nothing in between. So when I'm doing my own pictures and I, maybe setting the camera on a timer and trying to get into position, I find it so tough to relax. But then what started happening is my 4-year-old has started taking my picture, and he's now directing me, and it's actually helping, because it's taking my mind off of what's going on, and I'm concentrating on him, and he's making me laugh, and then it's sort of bringing out the best in me, and it's you know, there are a handful of other photographers who I've trusted to take my picture, and it's exactly the same, you know, relationship that we've built up, and it's that trusting thing. And then it's interesting what you say about the best friend, because yeah, I think our best friends always see you as the sort of, you know, the shining light, you know, can do no wrong, and you're perfect as you are. But actually, yeah, it's quite easy to overlook the deeper sort of personalities that are there, and they are, you know, they're there in everyone. So we try and be best friends for an hour or so, you know. So and anything that you tell me, you know, during a shoot is obviously, I take it very serious. It's like, you know, patient doctor confidentiality. You know, I'm not then straight on Facebook saying, oh, you know, so-and-so said, you know, during this shoot, and you know, XYZ. So it can actually be quite, you know, cathartic, really, to get your worries off your chest at the same time. So I don't think I've ever had, no, I don't think I've ever had tears on a shoot yet. But you know, there's still time. We'll see how that goes. I'll deal with that at the time.
Yeah, but it is an interesting one, isn't it? Well, sometimes it's easier to talk to somebody that you have only just met, and to be able to, and interesting as well that you must, like you're saying, good photographers are often people who can talk, who are good at talking. They must also be very good at connecting and drawing people out, and you know, the kinds of people that you will talk to, because there are some people that you just think, I won't tell them anything, and then there are other people that, oh, I've just told them my life story, what happened. Because it's you know, the talking and all of that exploration of what is your happy place, and maybe your mental health hasn't been good, so what's, you know, how are we going to take this photo, and how's this going to work? But also having that camera, you're saying the inanimate object that suddenly comes up in front of somebody's face, but it's very, very intimate, isn't it? Because if you're doing a portrait shot, it's kind of there in your face, it's very close, it's the eyes are the windows of the soul, and it's kind of like, I'm giving this away, I'm being exposed. And particularly because a lot of your shots, I believe, are for businesses, you know, they're profile headshots. So I know a lot of people who are very nervous about visibility, particularly new startups or people who maybe have a shop or they sell a product or something. So that's what is at the forefront. And they hide kind of, they're hiding away behind that. Whereas now, quite often, people are buying people, even if it's a product that you're selling, product or a service, they want to know the person behind the business. So businesses are encouraged, no, put your photograph up on your website, on your social media, let people see you. It's the you that they're going to engage with. But I know a lot of business owners who are then going, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that visible, because it feels that you're opening yourself up to criticism and all the rest of it, because social media is not always a nice place. So what would your response to that be? How can you support somebody with that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a valid point. And I think, the one, do you know what, this is really interesting, that the business owners that don't want to have their picture taken, but need to put their picture up, because, you know, as humans, we're very social creatures. So we trust other humans, you know, we need to, you know, develop that relationship. And obviously the way we communicate is visually. So, you know, it has to be through a picture. So the business owners that sort of accept this but think, right, I've got to put up, quite often put up a picture from a wedding, which I find really interesting, because a wedding is the one time in our lives where, either as a guest or, you know, as one of the people up front, you know, the stars of the show, that you're proper dressed up. You always take a little bit extra care, but, you know, making sure your hair is right. Or, you know, before I got married, I had the one and only beard trim from a barber that I've ever had in my entire life. And so, of course, so it's natural that people say, right, people want to see me, they're going to see me at my best, so it's a wedding, which is great. But the photo shoot is actually, it's another reason to sort of have that little bit of pampering. And if anybody's ever nervous, or they say, oh, I don't like the way I look, I don't like, you know, I do say, well, look, you know, spend a couple of hours getting ready. It's not, you know, I'm not going to be going, oh, it's a, you know, oh, they got a bit too much makeup on today, or you know, it's about how you feel, and you know, whatever you need to do to get yourself ready for that, do it for a photo shoot. And then, you know, you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a lovely feeling. You're getting, you know, and a great photograph out of it. And for anybody who is nervous, I mean, yeah, I will say that I do chat quite a lot. My wife, who doesn't, probably gets a little bit inundated with it, because when I haven't spoken to somebody for ages, I'm downstairs and she's working, just rabbiting away, you know, about whatever. But you know, one of the things that I like to do on a shoot, and without giving away too many secrets, is I like to talk to people about their happy place, and I find it really fascinating where people's happy places are. And if somebody's a little bit nervous, I always ask, and I say, look, just close your eyes, just put yourself wherever your happy place is. And then we start talking about it. And it's everywhere, from, you know, somebody's bedroom to, you know, a beach, you know, it's a pretty popular one. I wish I was on the beach, you know, or skiing, or, you know, watching my favorite football team, or with my family and stuff. So once we get ourselves in our happy place mentally, everything sort of melts away. And like I say, I think I've been upsetting a lot of dentists lately, because I've been telling people that having your picture taken is not like the dentist. And the good news is we don't extract the tooth at the end of it. You know, this is not, you know, and like we said, you know, a little bit earlier, there's no risk to life or limb with a shoot. And actually, it can be quite an affirming thing. And if you're nervous about it and you're thinking, I have to get it done, but I don't want to get it done, and you know, the feeling that you get, like you said, after your shoots, after that buzz, that sort of rush of the lovely, you know, vibes that you get when everybody's buzzing at the end of it, it's so worth getting there. And the other thing that I would say is that obviously I'm not the only photographer in South Wales or the UK. Clearly, there's a lot of us about. And what I would say is, like, ring around people, and you know, especially for you know, females. Some females may feel a little bit uncomfortable having their picture taken by a male. You know, it's a very natural thing. It's something that I've come across before. So if that's the case, you know, speak to female photographers. There's no hard and fast rules about it has to be a certain type of person. And you know, and with a lot of shoots, once you've sent that email or you've made that call, it's not then the next time you see this person that they're going to be behind a camera with all the lights and all that stuff. You know, we have a couple of chats before, and if you're nervous about it, you know, just let us know, you know, and we can, yeah, we can chat, we can get mood boards going, and you know, really get to the bottom of what you're trying to achieve. And actually, it can turn into a real sort of inward looking session, and then you suddenly start seeing things about your business that you then think, oh, actually, maybe I can adapt that into my copy on my website. And oh, I hadn't really thought that I was, you know, resilient or whatever it is. And, you know, and now I can get that into, you know, my social media or whatever. So yeah, so I would say, don't be afraid. Don't, you know, we don't photograph you the minute you pick up the phone that we're there with a long lens outside your front window, but you do get a chance to get ready for it. And, you know, so yeah, just give us a call and you know, and have a chat, and, you know, pick and choose a photographer, see the ones that you get on with and who you don't. And it really is for the best, because especially now, businesses aren't, like you say, these shop fronts, you know, they are people. Everybody is a business. You are your business, and you are the best of your business. And, you know, if I'm going to buy a product or a service, I want to know sort of who I'm buying from. And, you know, you know, we look at it, Apple is probably the one that I use quite a lot, but we all feel like we know Steve Jobs because, you know, knew Steve Jobs because he, you know, he was always on TV, and he was, you know, and you got a sense of his character, or, you know, his, you know, the way that he portrayed himself. So when you were buying an Apple, you didn't feel like you're buying it from a, you know, a global conglomerate that, you know, is, you know, making more money than there's ever been in the world. I always thought, I'm buying it from Steve Jobs. You know, that's quite a powerful, you know, tool. And if Steve Jobs and Apple can do that, then we can all do it as SMEs, really, with the right marketing. So yeah.
And I love that, you know, you will do mood boards and all sorts, that you have those full conversations so that you can explore what exactly the person wants. And then at the end of the day, they're going to get just what they want, plus those extras of seeing, gosh, is that really me? Is that how I'm seen? Is that how I can be? How do I step into, if you're photographing myself at my best and, you know, capturing all of those essences and showing those in a photograph that somebody can then, that's me. Oh my goodness. That's the image that people are going to see. How do I really step into that in myself, in my business, in my home, you know, my own life?
Well, this is the really interesting thing as well, is that there's another sort of psychological trick at work with photography and how we perceive ourselves, in that whenever we look at ourselves, we're looking at ourselves in reverse in the mirror. So that, of course, when you look at a picture, you're then looking at yourself the right way. Your brain is going, well, hang on, no, I don't look like that, because it's all backwards. And it's and some people are just like, you know, yeah, I can get through that. There are other people that, you know, way deep down in the brain is that trick, the flip that goes, and they're just like, oh, it doesn't look like me, and that's why I look awful in photographs. But actually, it's just your own perception, and you know, it's always lovely when you see somebody post a new picture that they've had done, you know, one of my sessions, or, you know, maybe people who I know who've got other photographers in, or whatever it is, and the comments start flooding in underneath on Facebook, and it's like, oh, you know, you look wonderful, you look, you know, oh, you know, what a great picture and stuff. And you know, it's lovely to see. It's lovely to see as a photographer. So, you know, obviously when I, you know, put my own pictures up and I get those comments, I'm always, you know, you can't help this smile, can you? I mean, you know, it's it's wonderful.
Well, you know, you've done a good job. It's an affirmation for the work that you've done, and I think that's something as well. If, you know, as you were saying, if you're looking for a photographer, phone around to find somebody that you connect with, but also look around and see the photographs that they've taken and see what looks the way I want my photographs to look. Does that person in that photograph look relaxed? You know, is it the style that I like? Those styles obviously can change, but you want to see that that person was relaxed. They were having a good time. That's what I want in my shoot. That's what I want to feel at the end of it.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And a photographer's website, is a brilliant window into that, and we can adapt the styles and the lighting and stuff. But find the one that has that style that you want, that, you know, sort of you feel is going to, you know, portray your best, you know, your best the words come, visual identity. That's a bit waffly, but you know what I mean. Personality, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So for anybody then who is nervous, who is not wanting to be visible, or unsure about making themselves more visible, or that they're maybe not feeling in the best place, like you were saying about that other person that you photographed, it's still really worth doing and really supportive of how you see yourself, because you will show that best aspect of them, of the person, that they can then go, this is who I can be. This is who I really am. But this is the me that I can step into, the me that I can be, because it's been seen. It's been captured. It's got to be there.
Absolutely. And I think we talk quite a lot about comfort zones and things. I mean, you know, if you really want to put yourself out of the comfort zone, you know, there's I'm a Celebrities going on right now, and you can go and, you know, lie in a barrel of wasps or whatever it is they do. Or you can have a photo shoot, which, you know, has a cup of tea, there's a bit of laughter, there's a bit of friendship, and a bit of a chat about, you know, how your business is. And you know, actually about photographers as well, you know, I think we're quite curious people naturally, and we like to sort of get, you know, beneath the skin of whatever we're looking at. And whether that's a documentary photographer who's, you know, documenting Wales, they want to get behind the, you know, Wales the brand, and maybe Wales the stereotype. They want to see what's really happening. And as a portrait photographer, which is what I, you know, sort of primarily am, you know, I want to get behind some of these persona and really see what makes them tick. And you know, and it's lovely when it, you know, when it, and there is a moment in all shoots when it happens and you just see it, and the shoulders go down, and suddenly, you know, well, actually, I say it's either a very subtle moment, or people go into the Blue Steel, you know, the Ben Stiller film, Zoolander, and they start doing these crazy poses. And once you get to that point, it's brilliant. You know, it's wonderful. But beware that we are very quick. So if you do pull a funny pose,
you're going to catch it.
And yeah, and you've got it. And you know, and I always send it to, you know, to my subjects, because it's a good laugh, isn't it? And it's not, obviously not one to promote your business if you're pulling a really wacky duck face, but you know, if your friends on WhatsApp, or you know, a Christmas card or whatever, is perfect, you know. So we always try to have some fun, and yeah, so yeah, just don't be nervous. It's not the dentist, it's not the doctor, it's not walking through fire, it's just, you know, a couple of people having a chat, really.
And I think with lockdown, we are more aware of needing of connection, and that we need to see a human face, because we haven't been connecting face to face. There's a whole, you know, psychology behind that as well. But it means that in business, we want to see the human face behind the business. So sometimes even not on a, you know, not your profile picture or whatever, but the odd little bit of just being human. It's kind of like Dress Down Friday, isn't it? It's just that odd little bit to see that you are a human being, you are a normal person, and you are somebody that is approachable, connectable, all of these things, and that's a really good thing to show about your business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, I think lockdown, I mean, I particularly found lockdown really tricky, because not because I didn't want to spend time with my family, but because I missed the variety of people that you know, I love having in my life, and you know, going out and meeting people, and you know, chatting to strangers, and all sorts. And actually on these shoots, I mean, I'm lucky because I can't really do my job at home, so I am allowed to travel and go to people's businesses, and that's fine. And when we get there, you know, I should say we are responsible, and you know, and I wear a face mask, which you wouldn't believe how a little bit of fabric over the face can really affect you know, a connection. You know, and I stay 2 meters away, and you know, and all that sort of stuff. So it's a very sort of safe environment that we, you know, we work in. And you know, even if you work in a tiny little shoebox, you know, that's not a problem. So we'll just go outside, or we'll go, you know, we'll go to wherever. So you know, we can adapt and things. But yeah, having that little connection with just somebody that's a bit different is, yeah, it's welcome relief at the moment. So yeah.
And particularly because you must have had such a variety of people. You know, you'd be going to new places each day and meeting new people each day. It's not like going to an office job, is it? So that's a huge shift when we went into lockdown. And one of the photo shoots I've had has been since lockdown, and it was outdoors. So yeah, there are lots of ways you can adapt so that it's still within the rules, it's still complying with all the restrictions, and feels perfectly safe.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to leave everybody with a nice photograph, not COVID-19. You know,
yes, absolutely.
End of the day,
that would be a hell of a memory to keep, wouldn't it?
Yeah. So you know, it's it's something we take very seriously, and you know, we make sure that everybody's safe and stuff. So yeah, nothing to be afraid of.
Definitely, I would recommend it. I think that it's one of the best ways to have fun and to have something that's lasting, that's either for personal use, for business use, whatever it might be. I think it's amazing.
Absolutely. I mean, I shouldn't. I say I shouldn't say this. I mean, my opinion on portraits is you should get them done every 2 years. But like I alluded to earlier, I've got a friend who's got a picture, you know, that's lasted for like 7 years. Now, I don't know how he's managed it, but he hasn't really aged in 7 years. So he looks, you know, sort of similar. There are people who you meet that you're like, oh, that picture was taken like 15 years ago. You know, it's natural. But yeah, as you say, you know, photographs don't expire after 6 months. And if you're, you know, looking after yourself and you know, not changing too much, then yeah, 3-4 years can go between, you know, shoots and stuff. And I find that actually that some people have one shoot done and then they're sort of hooked, and then, you know, 6 months later they're like, oh, actually, you know, I've changed my hair a little bit. Can you come back? And it's great fun when that happens as well. You know, and then it is really in the realms of like old friends. you know, having that
Definitely,
buzz.
I think if you want a portrait picture, like for business, Facebook, whatever it might be, I personally would want one that people would look at me and recognize that it's me, because
Yeah.
I change my hair on a regular basis, or have done. This has kind of stuck for a while now,
Yeah.
but people have then seen old business cards or whatever and go, that's not you. It actually is, but it's just my hair changes and it makes me look so different. So definitely I want a picture that people are going to recognize it's me. Yeah, it's also the having to come to terms with how the hair changes, goes grey or a few more wrinkles. But again, I think it's your character, it's who you are, and it's to go with that, to embrace it.
Absolutely. I think I like to be quite authentic in what I do, because there was one person in my photograph who wanted so much retouching done to their photograph that I didn't actually recognize them in the street after we'd done it. I mean, it was I was looking, I was like, God, you look familiar, and then it sort of dawned on me. But then with the wrinkles and stuff, I think everybody looks, everybody looks brilliant, because it's who you are. And I mean, I can, obviously if somebody said to me, look, well, I'll use my mum as an example. Anytime I photograph her, she's like, oh, can you take the wrinkles? Can you do, and of course I could make her look 20 years younger. That's not a problem. But actually I like to be a little bit softer than that, and just, maybe a little sort of caressing of the odd wrinkle. But, we try and we're not going to make you look 800 years old. You're more likely to look about 2 or 3 years younger straight out the camera. So with the lighting and things like that. And again, and going back to it, there is a certain lift when you show somebody a picture on a laptop in a shoot, or in the old days on the back of the camera, and it's always wonderful when you hear somebody say, oh wow, do I really look like that? And you're like, yes, you do. Because I get up in the morning, I look in the mirror, and the first thing that I see are all the flaws that I have, and actually nobody else notices it, and nobody ever comes up to me and goes, oh, you're looking a bit older than because we always have a worse impression of ourselves than is actually the case. So having that nice picture to share around is, it's lovely. It gives you a boost, isn't it?
It's not wrinkles anyway. I'm sure when you're having your photograph taken, it's more laughter lines or something. It's not like when you're first thing in the morning looking in the mirror, because you're not looking in the mirror relaxing and posing, or not necessarily posing, but being caught in a specific angle that's maybe more flattering. You're there under that terrible harsh light, thinking, I have so many things to do today. I'm in such a rush and I'm late. I slept in. All of these things are what you're seeing on your face. Whereas when you have a photo shoot and you see the relaxed you, the confident you, the from a good angle with good lighting, all dressed and prepared nicely, then it is going to look quite different from what you have in the back of your head.
Absolutely, yeah. And the other thing is, I mean, we all, we all have those things that we're conscious about. For me, it's my vein. I think it's by about here, that when I laugh, it really explodes out. And so I think that when I'm having my picture taken, I think that I'm always sort of trying to concentrate on not doing it too much. But then you get that right balance of laughter and happiness, and you get to a point where it doesn't appear, but I am smiling, and and then, like you say, then it looks totally different to the hideous creature that's looking back at myself in the mirror every morning, before I've put the wall paint on. But
before the first coffee.
Yeah, absolutely, and it, and it's something that I relate to, and it, so it's something that I'm acutely aware of when whoever I'm photographing is, if they feel like that. I just want to make sure they get through it really and enjoy it. So, because photo shoots do not need to be these serious kind of, and actually, just thinking about it off the top of my head, maybe this is like from a childhood thing, because when we look at the school photos that were done, it was always very serious, those sort of marble grey backdrops, and you always had to sit upright and be very, and if that's your first sort of experience of a shoot, for some I suppose it could be really off-putting, but I don't remember laughing in mine. I don't,
no.
And my son's recently.
Getting your passport photograph or your driver's license photograph where they actually tell you not to smile, and you look at it and like, if I really look like that, I'm too ill to travel, and I'm certainly shouldn't be driving a car. I'd be a danger.
Well, I was when I had my last passport photo done, I imagined what I'd look like after getting off a 10-hour overnight flight where I hadn't slept. And funny enough, those automatic passport checking things that they have at control these days never let me down when I got off a 10-hour flight overnight. Like, I was straight through, you know, I didn't have to do it twice. So yeah, I think that I don't know. Somebody's made a decision there, and I think that there is a way of looking serious, but without that sort of, yeah, like you say, I'm too ill to travel. I mean, a little smile is surely okay. I mean, if you know, yeah, if I can.
And also, if you are somebody who smiles naturally, then the photograph won't recognize you, because if you're standing all glum, looking grey and washed out as you often do in those photographs anyway.
Well, I mean, that's it. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, is that with these shoots, we're not a photo booth, so you're not going in and drawing the curtain and you're there on your own.
That great big flash in your face.
Yeah, no. I mean, we do tend to use, you know, sort of big reflectors and stuff, but it's all to soften the light and make it a bit more, you know, sort of gentle on the face. Whereas those things are really like in your face, and then you see spots for a couple of minutes and all that. So, yeah, we're not a photo booth. Much more fun than that. So.
Definitely. So just as we draw to a close then, do you have any great self-care tips that you'd like to share? You're obviously somebody who's very aware of all of this, so any great information?
So what I would say, so in terms of having a shoot, I think, yeah, get in touch with a professional. I think trust a professional. You trust dentists, doctors, you know, pilots, train drivers, you know, bus drivers. We trust all these people with our lives, so we can trust a creative person with your photos. So we don't bite. We're really friendly, and it's free to chat. So, you know, just if you're thinking about having it, but you're a bit nervous, I'd say, you know, get in touch and explain it. I think it's the word. When I've actually got a shoot sort of this afternoon, and the person has told me already that they're worried about the way that they look in terms of their age and stuff. So I know now, so I know exactly what I need to prepare for to get that shoot done. If you do actually have your picture taken, get a good night's sleep the night before, because that's always that's the one when you can see when somebody said, oh, you know, I've had like 3 hours because I was at, you know, Studio 54 until, you know, 4 in the morning or whatever it was. Get a good night's sleep, relax, you know, moisturize, put on the makeup and everything, and just sort of let yourself go. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't you know, and Robin, you'll know better than me, when we get tense, you know, our shoulders come up and we hunch down a little bit, and you could just see it. So if you just breathe and relax and drop the shoulders and just forget about what's going on, forget about the camera, forget about the lights or how you're feeling, and just chat to that photographer, and you will get, you know, some wonderful results out of it. If you are taking pictures, you know, which people do on the iPhone and stuff, always have the window behind. So like I have now, nice sort of soft light, and like you have there as well. You know, don't stand in front of a window. On the iPhones, the camera is set to a wide angle as a default. So so that's why you can sometimes look a bit distorted if you have your picture on that. So use the zoom function and zoom on them, and that'll soften the looks and stuff. So so they're my sort of little top tips at the moment, which I hope people find useful.
That's brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Nick. So yeah, if anybody's thinking of going for a photo shoot, definitely I would recommend it. It's a fabulous, fun way to spend an hour or two. And also, you know, if it's going to be a business shot, like Nick has said, you get to explore lots of exciting things around how you can make it follow your brand and how you want to look, and all of these wonderful, exciting things. So Nick, if people wanted to get in touch with you, what is the best way?
Okay, yeah. So my website is www.nickmorrish, all one word, .com. So nickmorrish.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I am on Facebook as well. So yeah, just check all those channels out, and you know, I'm always up for a natter, so drop me an email. Email is better because, you know, if I'm out and about, I can't always pick up the phone and stuff, so I always say email because then I know where it is. But yeah, have a look. I know it's a bit clickbaity, but I have been lucky to photograph some celebrities in my life, and they feature on my website. I won't tell you which ones, so you'll have to just go and have a look and find out. And they're right at the bottom of the page as well, so you have to scroll. Which is done entirely on purpose.
Oh, of course. Yeah, great ploy to use. But that's brilliant, Nick. Thank you so much for being a guest and being such a wonderful guest with such great and fun information. It's been a delight to chat with you this morning.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been wonderful. And if anybody wants to chat to me, yeah, get in touch. And like I say, even if you're thinking about it, it doesn't have to be with me. I'm more than happy to give some advice out to people and stuff like that. So and just have a chat. So yeah, get in touch. But thank you, Robin, and thank you for everything you do, looking out for everybody's well-being. It's so important, even more so than now.
I think we've become more aware of that from the beginning of lockdown, realizing that moment of pause, like you were saying with the having a photo shoot. Just pause, breathe, allow your shoulders to go down. And we kind of had that, didn't we, at the beginning of lockdown, and realized, gosh, how busy we all were, how our work-life balance wasn't so good. So I think that's the positive side of it all, that we've had that reminder to take stock, look after ourselves, focus on a bit of self-care and well-being.
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you again, Nick. And thank you, everybody, for either watching live or if you're catching up on the replay. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.